All right. Well, welcome to this Miracle Healing Intensive. I'm really happy that you joined today in this class. We're gonna go ahead and start the class right now. So sometimes we dance, sometimes we don't. And so today we're just staying in this where we find ourselves, and there's enough material to work with, especially in this class too, because of the topic that we are using from the Miracle Healers Handbook that you can freely download from the website. The Miracle Healers Handbook is full of, say, sections of the Manual for Teachers of A Course in Miracles. And the manual for teachers sounds as if you need to teach something in terms of standing in front of a group and sharing something like I'm doing right now. But that not necessarily means that it is actually different. The teaching part of it is the demonstration of the maturity that you receive for yourself in this, that makes you demonstrate the principles, that makes you demonstrate the atonement or the atonement or the you literally are free of the becoming more and more, let me say it like this, becoming more and more free of the confusion of levels or of the beliefs that you can hold about yourself that don't have any reality, but you lived with them for a long time. So today is really, that's really the part that we're looking at, and we're using some fundamental misconceptions basically to be undone in this session. So it is a real invitation to miracle healing, to healing in its purest, so to speak, because it's like, where do you start? The healing is in fact in the place where the actual error occurred, which is in the mind, in the thinking, and just having ideas about something that weren't true, and holding on to these ideas and defending them, it made them very strong in you. So today you have every reason to let go, to stay in a state of, oh yes, I don't need this, I can let this go. And that sounds like just a decision of mind, and it seems that seems to be the start of that too. But at the same time, something occurs to you, and so one of the great miracle principles that we have seen over the last couple of weeks is it starts with this: it's like the miracle does nothing. And it's like, okay, we're doing miracle healing here, why does the miracle do nothing? It's like the undoing of what never was. You can really call that something has actually occurred. So that is the beauty of miracle healing, is in fact always going back to the place where nothing happened. So in fact, remembering who you truly are has everything to do with that. So that's the same with today's topic, like how are healing and atonement related? So first of all, are they related? And how are they related? And how am I supposed to look at that? What actually is that then? So what is the atonement? What is yeah, these words have some kind of also a mystical connotation. But what actually is it? So today we look at that from the say the angle of the Ur text, in which states very clearly, and you could read that today in the article I sent out to the 40 days to resurrection. It's like I will read it in a moment, but it is like the atonement is related to the idea of resurrection. It's not related to the idea of crucifixion. And this is such fundamental part in our thinking that we really need to take a look at that today. So that might be quite interesting for you to hear that. And other parts that will pass today are also like, yeah, this atonement idea, what actually is that then? How am I supposed to look at that? And how is that working in my life? And how can I continue coming to my fearlessness in this altogether? So these are quite some subjects, and they are given to us. So that's the most beautiful thing, in fact, with this training, or with this coming together in this intensive. I didn't call it an intensive just by accident. It was given to me to say to share it like this because of the purity that is being presented in terms of say, we have read so many things, we have been looking at so many things, and now we come to the real basic say configuration of this. We sink a little deeper into the structure of all this. How is this, how is it all related? How is it related to me? And what does that entail for my thinking, for my being in this world, being not of this world, having this spiritual, say, need of a spiritual practice, at least, to come into the recognition of who I truly am. So what is in the way of that? What do I need to let go of in order to have a full-blown experience of my enlightened mind? So these things we look at today, and so that is, yeah, that's quite something. But like I said, the most beautiful thing is that we come together in actually the recognition that we receive all the help in this, that you don't have to do this by yourself. Like, you were not able to correct your own errors, otherwise you already would have. And unless you walk around in total happiness all the time, then you wouldn't probably be in this class. So there might be days that some things are not working out so well, or that you really think like, well, I could use some help here. Yeah, well, I have no idea what's going on. Please. Oh my God, I can't believe it. What's happening? You know, so these things are, say, sure signs that you're in the right place, for one thing, but also that we have the great help available to us by the presence of Jesus in A Course in Miracles, and by whatever shows up today that is going to help us to see what is given us in this class, in this new way of looking at yourself and allowing yourself to be new, so taking a step in the transformational process that is going on in you, and seeing that that plan that is working in you works so perfectly, that you can really say like, oh yes, I get all the help I need. There's so many situations during the daytime in which I can practice these principles and see everything in a whole new light, and actually see the effect of it too. Because you see, look back in the last couple of weeks, see what happened in your life, see what changes occurred that you didn't dream of before that could happen. And I really, in that sense, I speak for myself, of course. But I hope that you will come up with that too, and that you start to see that too, that amazing things are happening in such a short time, in which you actually see and discover, oh, I start to see what that means to project, like, in a great way instead of in a fearful way. And projecting in a great way is what I mean, like extending the love that you are, uh, coming through you, and seeing that it actually works, that you actually can extend this to your brother without doing something really, but being aware of the possibility of, or staying vigilant also, not to give your brother anything else. Say, stop attacking him, to stop with projecting your fear upon him, and seeing that you don't have to respond to a lot of things. And at the same time that you discover that there's great help, so I can actually ask for that. How am I supposed to look at this? How am I supposed to deal with this situation? And is this the right time to do that? are you really wanting me to perform this miracle? Was one of the questions that we had last time. It's like, is this the time to do that? And so the answer is always pretty obvious. You start to listen to hear that more and more. And so the connection, the fine tuning in that becomes more and more, confirming your certainty in all of this. And that is really lovely, because you see how much is possible if you stay in a constructive, extending way instead of being destructive and attacking. So you get results with that. If you're looking for result, not really that we're doing that, but say you don't do that for the purpose of getting a result. No, but you will see it. Absolutely. So, and there's some basic fundamental, see here I go again, I sink into the fabric of this, like it's fundamental, it's essential. You get to the essential principles behind all of this that you need to see for yourself in order to see more of this, to see this at work, literally. And so let's start off with a little introduction into the atonement without sacrifice, like the atonement being the undoing of what never was. Like atonement is the undoing, in fact, of what never was, and seeing that holds, like that doesn't ask a sacrifice of you. But see, the way that's it's being shared here is very fundamental, and you will see that. So I'll read that to you. Atonement without sacrifice. There is one more point which must be perfectly clear before any residual fear, which may still be associated with miracles, becomes entirely groundless. See, this is very fundamental. It is like, this needs to be clear in order for you to release the fear that is connected for you with the idea of miracles. The crucifixion did not establish the atonement. The resurrection did. This is a point which many very sincere Christians have misunderstood. Nobody who was free of the scarcity fallacy could possibly have made this mistake. But this mistake is made, this mistake is made. This is a point which many very sincere Christians have misunderstood. They really thought that the atonement had to do with the sacrifice of this physical body, or what Jesus did for you, and like all the ideas of guilt and sin connected to that, as if he made the sacrifice of the age, or something like that. Like, no, that was not the case at all. So we, as a religious Christian cult, so to speak, have thought of that as being that was what Jesus did for us. Like, I know that I, as a child, had to be grateful for Jesus hanging on the cross, because he hung there for my sins. He was sacrificing himself for my sins. And that was the idea that I grew up with, and luckily has been undone. So I went through the process myself of going through this guilt, seeing that I'm literally guilty for everything that's occurring in this world, thinking that I needed to come to that sacrifice too, but seeing in the end that it was no sacrifice at all to give up that idea, because it is not related to the atonement. It is not something that you have to do in order to come to your fullness, so to speak. So, and this is so fundamental that I wanted to share that with you. So the resurrection is the part where the atonement took place. The resurrection is coming into your full beingness, so to speak, without any false ideas about yourself, like no level confusion about who you are and where and how you are connected to everything that is. That is your resurrection. It is literally like it says in the course too, it's like the surmounting of death. You go over the idea of death. It's literally not related to death whatsoever. If the crucifixion is seen from an upside down point of view, it certainly does appear as if God permitted and even encouraged one of his sons to suffer because he was good. Many very devoted ministers preach this every day. This particularly unfortunate interpretation, which usually arose out of the combined misprojection of a large number of my own would-be followers, has led many people to be bitterly afraid of God, as if God is asking a sacrifice of you. This particularly anti-religious concept happens to enter into many religions, and this is neither by chance nor coincidence. Wow. So that is quite fundamental, and that's why I wanted to bring that in today. Just to come to the place where you actually are not afraid, don't have to be afraid of God and about, say, coming into an atonement or being one with the will of God. You know, that also entails an idea of sacrifice, as if you have to give up your own will and become some kind of spongy kind of person who follows up what God does when putting your will aside and honoring the firm law of God or something like that. You know, that is such an old picture that can be undone in an instant because it is not based on reality. It has nothing to do with that. So that's all these things are helping us basically. All these, say, undoing of beliefs help us to see that there's nothing to fear, to enter into a full recognition of the true being that we are. Seeing that in terms of a trinity of like there's only one of us, there's only one mind, one soul that is actually alive, that is, say, connecting all of us. So that's so I'm so happy to share this and to discover this and to read this in such clear language in which I can actually accept that for myself as being the instruction I've been waiting for, you know, like that. Okay, so this is an essential part to see the idea of atonement that we're talking about, seeing that in a proper perspective. And yes, I know I go through this pretty quickly, but it will all come together, you know, it will all come together, and suddenly it's like, oh my God, I can't believe this. This is actually working for me this way. Like it is happening to me. I don't have to figure out how this all works, but I start to see that my beliefs were this and this, and that they were based on an idea of sacrifice, which can never be what is asked of by a loving God, you know. So there's one more little piece I wanted to read about the resurrection. The resurrection demonstrated that nothing can destroy truth. Good can withstand any form of evil because light abolishes all forms of darkness. Light abolishes all forms of darkness. The atonement is thus the perfect lesson. It is the final demonstration that all of the other lessons which I taught are true. Man is released from all errors if he believes in this. The deductive approach to teaching accepts the generalization, which is applicable to all single instances, rather than building up the generalization after analyzing numerous single instances separately. If you accept the one generalization now, there will be no need to learn from many smaller lessons. Nothing can prevail against a son of God who commands his spirit into the hands of his Father. By doing this, the mind awakens from its sleep and the soul remembers its creator. All sense of separation disappears and level confusion vanishes. The Son of God is part of the Holy Trinity, but the Trinity itself is one. There is no confusion within its levels because they are of one mind and one will. This single purpose creates perfect integration and establishes the reign of the peace of God. Okay, so you can read that again on the website, but how I want to use it today is this. It's like, see the resurrection then really comes down to, yes, it's happening now. It's happening here. It is, I accept that for myself. I accept the atonement for myself. I accept my undoing for myself. I accept whatever needs to fall away in the sense of my true identity. Everything that is not real, I have no need of that anymore. I can let that fall apart. I can let that go. And more and more and more, you can do that. So that is like, yeah, it took some time to build up your misidentification. So the undoing of that will take some time too. But with the help like this, it can save you so many years, so to speak, if you allow these new ideas to come to you and to be open to them and see that if you experience the connectedness in this, what is being offered, then you come into an experience of grace or of connectedness, of oneness. And that is going to do it for you, because it is like, I know exactly what that means now. I know exactly what that is, just because I feel it literally in my system, in my totality for a moment. I catch a glimpse of it and it becomes so clear in my mind. I see that it actually is working. See, that is going to be the catalyst for you to let these undoings take place. See, the thing with undoing is that it's not just something that falls away. No, it is by you letting go of an idea, your energy or your frequency level changes. You are literally being lifted, and that is an active occurrence that you can do every day, in that sense, that you can undergo every day. And it's really a part of this practice. It's really a part of the say, coming into a miracle mindedness. So, and the specific instructions are given on a daily basis. So it's not that you have to like, oh my God, am I going to do all this? I have to carry all this with me in order to be a miracle mind. I got to do this and this and this. No, not at all. So the mind in its state of undoing, say in the state of letting go, receives that just by nature, in fact. So by becoming more and more, say, into the peace of mind yourself, by allowing your mind not to be occupied with all kinds of stuff, but letting that go instead of holding on to it, you see that there becomes more and more space in your mind in which you can receive different information and different light, and that actually just expands more and more and more while you're doing it. So if you keep with this practice, it will open up more and more and more. And that is so amazing. Like your certainty starts to grow that this is working, and that increases the speed again. So it's like one thing on top of each other. It's like it just goes hand in hand all together. And that is so great. So this is just the introduction to the chapter that we're using today. from the teacher's manual, from the Miracle Healer's Handbook, where it's all compiled. And so how are healing and atonement related? And now you start to see, like, wait a minute, healing and atonement. So we have this healing. Healing is then remembering who you are and the undoing of what never was. So how are they related? Well, they actually come together in the same spot. You know, it's like, it is always with oneness and with wholeness. It always is, like, love is freedom. Atonement is what freedom is. Um, Atonement is what fearlessness is, because there's nothing to fear if you're completely undone. Like, your ideas about yourself make you afraid. Your ideas about what God is and what the will of God is can make you afraid. But that is not what it is. So in the undoing of these ideas, you come to the place where you actually can start to receive this. And then you see, like, yes, my happiness is right here. This is the grace of God I'm experiencing. And it is my joy. And I've hold no ideas about myself in the same time. So everything is coming together in that. And that's why it's like, it really doesn't matter how you even call it. But we're using this in this text to go through parts of it where you can see, oh, not even that. Oh, that's not it either. Oh my God, I thought, no, this is not it either. And suddenly that what is true will arise. So I'll start reading a paragraph of this. And so bear with me. How are healing and atonement related? Healing and atonement are not related. They are identical. There's no order of difficulty in miracles because there are no degrees of atonement. It is the one complete concept possible in this world because it is the source of a wholly unified perception. It is the one complete concept because possible in this world because it is the source of a wholly unified perception. Wow. Partial atonement is a meaningless idea, just as special areas of hell in heaven are inconceivable. Accept atonement and you are healed. Accept the word, atonement is the word of God. Accept his word and what remains to make sickness possible. Accept his word and every miracle has been accomplished. To forgive is to heal. The teacher of God has taken accepting the atonement for himself as his only function. What is there then he cannot heal? What miracle can be withheld from him? So there are many questions in this. So yeah, I'm not going to answer them all. Atonement is the word of God. Okay, that's not a question. That's what it is. Atonement is the word of God. Accept his word and what remains to make sickness possible. Like, if wholeness is whole, what can be separate from that? See, this is basic logic, truth logic. So that is so great. So there's no partiality in it. That's also good to know. There's no partiality in it. See, and then it's, on the other hand, it's not happening on this mental level that you're perceiving it now. So that makes it really like a nice challenge to let this come to you, but by accepting these facts for yourself. To forgive is to heal. So what then is forgiveness, you would ask, you know? And so to forgive is to heal. It's like, do I have to forgive my brother because he did something to me and now I'm going to forgive him? No, that is not forgiveness. So, but actually, what is forgiveness then? Is that the same as atonement? Is that the same as letting go of my ideas about everything that happened in the past? Yes. So it has to do with letting go again. It's like, okay, I have to let go of my ideas that I hold about my brother or about anything at all, maybe about God or myself even. Like, what am I thinking about myself? I have to forgive myself. Yeah, but what do I need to forgive from myself? My behavior, my yeah, whatever's, my missteps. Yeah, my missteps actually were directed by me. I actually wanted it, what I did, otherwise I wouldn't have done it. So what is there then to forgive? So it's good to see that on the level of thinking that the correction needs to take place. So that means that, yes, I was responsible for what has occurred. I was responsible because I thought that would be the best for me. But since I have no idea about what is the best for me or what I'm supposed to do, I was wrong. I was mistaken. So I have to forgive myself in that I thought like that and acted out of these thoughts. So I come back to this then. To forgive is to heal. To heal is to make whole. To see that there's nothing actually occurred. See, and then it is so good because it's all related to your experience of yourself. And that means to heal then is to allow this moment that you have with yourself, to allow that moment to occur to yourself, to feel that everything is all right again. And sometimes it goes quick, sometimes it does take a moment before you actually feel that something shifted. But it will happen. And that's maybe the last thing you expect for a moment, but it will happen. So like that's why healing is certain, because you bring something up, you don't know what to do with it, but you let it go, you present it to your Holy Spirit, you give it away. It's like, okay, yes, i i i I did decide that for myself and I acted out of that, and now I'm letting it go, seeing that that's over and that it's not, um, say it's not happening to me in this moment anymore. I don't need it any longer. I'm not going to use it against myself. So to let go of that, to come into a different idea about yourself, has to be connected to what you feel about yourself. So that means suddenly you feel like a relief. Oh my God, I'm so happy that I could let go of this. You feel something, it's like it cannot be that you don't feel anything. No, it will have an effect of what you do. So, and this is what I meant too with the say change of frequency, or in um, the change of something in you. You actually feel that your energy level is increasing when you let go of something. You feel a lot better. You feel happy for no reason. You feel happy because you don't have to do that anymore. It's a relief. It feels so good. So this is essential in the miracle minded training, so to speak, because if that doesn't follow, then you're still holding on to something. So it does have an effect. Whether you receive that now or tomorrow really doesn't matter, but you will receive that for yourself. And when you do, that has an effect on your whole energy level, on your whole configuration. Suddenly you start to shine. Suddenly you feel so good about yourself just because you got rid of this. You don't have to carry it around anymore. And that's so great. Okay, so here's something about the forgiveness. It's the third paragraph. That forgiveness is healing needs to be understood if the teacher of God is to make progress. The idea that the body can be sick is a central concept in the human thought system. The body can be sick. It's a very accepted idea if you look around. This thought gives the body autonomy, separates it from the mind, and keeps the idea of attack inviolate. If the body could be sick, atonement would be impossible. Whoa, okay, so that's checkmate, so to speak. You know, it's like, oh my God, now I have no way to get out of this. I cannot talk myself out of this. If the body could be sick, atonement would be impossible. And is atonement impossible? No, absolutely not. So my idea about the body must, there must be something wrong with that. There must be a little mistake caught up in that. A body that can order a mind to do as it sees fit could merely take the place of God and prove salvation is impossible. What then is left to heal? The body has become the Lord of the mind. How could the mind be returned to the Holy Spirit unless the body is killed? How could the mind be returned to the Holy Spirit unless the body is killed? And who would want salvation at such a price? See, then we're talking about some real sacrifice. So death would be your salvation then in this story that you believed in as a human being. You know, so this is fundamental ideas that you carry around with you, maybe conscious, maybe unconscious, or maybe that's healed already in you, which would be great. Certainly, sickness does not appear to be a decision, nor would anyone actually believe he wants to be sick. Perhaps he can accept the idea in theory, but it is rarely, if ever, consistently applied to all specific forms of sickness, both in the individual's perception of himself and of all others as well. Nor is it at this level that the teacher of God calls forth the miracle of healing. He overlooks the mind and body, seeing only the face of Christ shining in front of him, correcting all mistakes and healing all perception. Healing, then, is the result of the recognition by God's teacher of who it is that is in need of healing. This recognition has no special reference. It is true of all things that God created. In it are all illusions healed. So this is then regarding the sickness that's being referred to in this piece, but you can also see it as ideas that you hold about yourself in terms of holding on to your ideas, whether they are about the body or whether they are about your family or your relationships or your finances even. You know, it really doesn't matter what the part is that you believe in, but allowing that healing to occur to you will set you free from your bondage to it or your misconception of it. So you all have your own area in which you actually have your, say, you can call it issues or your things that are coming back to you and return to you. It's like, oh yes, there it is again. I still haven't gotten over this. And this still didn't change. And whether that is sickness or whether that is relationships or financial problems or whatever problems that you walk around with, like if it's still returning to you, you're not free of it. So you will have to take a look at it, but in a different way than you're used to, not to fix the problem, not to fix the relationship, not to fix the sickness. No, to come to a whole different understanding in all of this, that there is only a reason for you to let go of these ideas, to see that you literally came up with them, that they are not happening to you. So you start to take responsibility for that, and then literally handing that over and seeing that there's a possibility for it to change, that you don't have to solve this yourself, but the way that you're perceiving it, the level where you're perceiving it, there will never be the answer. See, and that is also a very fundamental idea. So the problem, and Joel says this too, like the problem can never be solved on the level where it's is perceived. And that is quite obvious because the level where you perceive problems has nothing to do with the atonement. That's why we started off in the beginning. It's like the miracle does nothing. Like, no, it's just coming to the level of, say, atonement, seeing that that is the only reality, that you are of one body and one mind, that you are, that we're one in this, and that your ideas about any separate thoughts that you hold about yourself have no reality whatsoever and have every opportunity to be undone. But by attacking your brother, or by being consistently confirming these ideas in yourself, demonstrating that to yourself, seeing them at work and believing in them, that is really something that really confirms it for yourself that they are so. Perpetuating the problems that you perceive, perpetuating the pain that it's causing, thinking that that's necessary because of the idea of sacrifice that you still hold on to. Like I said, it's pretty fundamental today. So I hope you're doing well in receiving this, because see, you feel that there's a key connected to what I'm presenting here, and you want to hold that key in a sense. You want to discover what that key is and how this is working for you, how you can come to your own release of the bondage that you put yourself in. The offer of atonement is universal. It is equally applicable to all individuals in all circumstances. And in it is the power to heal all individuals from all forms of sickness. Not to believe this is to be unfair to God, and thus unfaithful to him. A sick person perceives himself as separate from God. Would you see him as separate from you? It is your task to heal the sense of separation that made him sick. It is your function to recognize for him that what he believes about himself is not the truth. It is your forgiveness that must show him this. Healing is very simple. Atonement is received and offered. Having been received, it must be accepted. It is in the receiving, then, that the healing lies. All else must follow from this single purpose. So yeah, I'm making it look like really easy now. Maybe this is too easy for you, and that's why it's so difficult. So it is so fundamental that you miss it, and that's amazing, isn't it? So in the word text, I was reading this week, and you see very interesting two very interesting principles of denial, basically, and I'd love to share them with you, because if you recognize them in yourself and maybe see them work in others, so to speak, it is actually funny to look at it that way. So one of them is retardedness, that you literally think that you don't know what this is about, and that you are actually, hiding yourself in your retardedness, if you want, as an way to hide yourself from this, from doing this, from applying this. And that's really interesting. So if you have a conversation with whoever, you sometimes discover that people don't want to discover something new, while they actually are fed up with the problems that they have. And so I'm not telling you that it's wrong or right or anything like that. No, but I just had a recognition with the word retardedness. I recognized it in myself. So it's like, yeah, that's really retarded. It's like a retarded way of doing things. It's like I keep myself, there was the other one, stupidity. It's like you keep yourself literally stupid in order to prevent yourself from being healed. And so it's up to you to decide then what actually is stupid in that sense. Because if there's nothing to be afraid of, if there's nothing, saying, really bringing you into deeper fear, but releasing the fear connected to this idea. See, if there's not a God to be afraid of, and if there's no sacrifice being asked of you, and that it is not related to sacrificing the body or being afraid to lose the body by accepting your atonement, what is there to fear? You know, what is it that you have to lose? That's literally like the question. What is it that you have to lose? What ideas are you holding on to where you are afraid of to lose them? And how could they ever be lost if like ideas leave not their source? So what can really be lost? There's no such thing. So healing is simple, because basically you come to the place where you recognize, I didn't have to do that. I can let go of that. And when I don't do that, I feel a lot better. Suddenly it's like, oh, my mind opens up. Suddenly the sun starts to shine. Oh, look at that. I never saw flowers like this. Or no, I look at this beautiful tree. Or look at this smile of this person. It seems like today everyone is smiling. I can't believe it. Look around. So this is like, yeah, you start to practice this and see this you see it more and more and more. See that everything had to do with your perception of it. By you releasing one idea, the whole world looks differently. You know, that's so amazing that that is possible. So this is my invitation to you. It's like, okay, this is time to discover. So today you will come into a situation where you're not going to respond the way that you used to, or confirming ideas that you actually know not to be true. No, this time it's going differently. You have an opportunity to extend the love just by sitting still for a moment yourself. Maybe start your day like this, being quiet for a moment and feeling that you really let go of something, feeling that you're connected to everything that is, allowing yourself to receive that for yourself, not having any, say, defenses against it, not being afraid to be overwhelmed with love. And then at the same time, going into this world, no matter where you go, and seeing that you have an opportunity to judge or to extend. So you choose extension this time. You smile, or you just give from your heart. You just give and see what happens, not to look for a result, but see that when you start to do that, you feel so much better about yourself, and see that it actually affects everything. So this is really the opportunity that's being offered here, on a huge scale. I mean, it can be total if you want to. If you accept this completely for yourself and not apply your judgment anymore, but forgive yourself that you did it, letting go of the ideas continuously, letting go of your judgments because before you open your mouth, you just forgive, you let go, you empty your mind of it, so to speak, you flush it. It's like, no, I'm not going to engage this ammunition. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stay quiet. I'm just going to just come to myself for a moment instead of attacking my brother. And then when I start to feel the love that I'm actually receiving in that moment that I let go of, I'm going to blow that right into this world. I'm going to extend this and beam this out to everyone I meet, because it makes me so happy to see that is given to me in this moment, that I don't have to hold on to anything and that there's nothing lost. So use your little homework again. So every class has homework with this. I don't know why that is. Maybe because it's so practical that you have all kinds of opportunities. Like in the application lies the certainty. You know, the more you start applying this, the more you see this at work, and the more impersonal it becomes to you. Like you don't have to do this for yourself to become a better person or to have more credential of the, oh, look at that guy, oh yeah, he's the one, you know, this and that. No. So it becomes very impersonal, but actually the greatest is that you feel how connected you are to your Trinity, that you are part of this Trinity, and that it is impersonal what is being extended, but it's also universal. It's given to everyone freely. It is bringing us together. You add your joy to it, like, okay, let's let that happen. There's nothing, there's no reason not to do that. You know, you can state it like that too. There's no reason not to do that. You found millions of reasons not to do it, but you let them all go. So this was a real quick healing moment that we were together, in which we undid all of these ideas. You don't have to apply them anymore. So give them up. You don't have to do that. How great is that? It saves you a lot of trouble. And believe me, believe me, it saves a lot of trouble. So this is really what is being said too, as being the speed up in the process, not having to do a lot of things, not thinking that you have to do so much for this. No, it is very simple. It is, you don't have to attack your brother, and see what happens when you don't. You immediately start to extend. It is a given that feels much more natural to you. So it's a very basic practical instruction here. And that's just given to us in this moment that we come together to receive this miracle intensive class. Okay, well, thank you so much for yeah, being here, for being open to receive this. And I hear also that you're going to apply this. So I'm really curious about how the world will look when we start to do this, and when we increase to do this, because you probably already started with it. So thank you so much for doing that. And I hope to see you soon. Thank you.